I'll start the segment with something a little bit lighthearted. And frankly, it's time that I again bring my denunciation marker. I denounce. But there was some attention at the National Day of Prayer event that Trump was at to his hair. I desperately could not figure out why. But this photo was circulating, and I just thought it was totally inappropriate. Do you know what I mean? His hair. No, people talking about it. Like, why Midas Touch said missed a spot. What do they mean? Missed a spot with what? Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of confusing with all that's going on that I would show another unrelated photograph that Trump literally came out and said was Photoshopped because he was so insecure about it. He said it was fake news. That's right. No, all jokes aside, this reminds me of Skimpygate and of Bleach Blonde Bad Butch Body, which is that's funny. And also, I denounce ever focusing on anything other than the substance and the important things of weight. But this event was at, that is funny though. Sometimes I don't realize how much of his hair is. I didn't know it was such a dramatic comb over until it comes back and you kind of get a little glimpse of the magic. But like I said, Trump was at an event for prayer, and here's Harris Faulkner reporting on it, saying that Trump he's a man of faith. He's a man of faith.
The President of the United States is about to hold a National Day of Prayer. A beautiful 74th one, this one. So we're inching our way up to 75, but it's a beautiful occasion and always is traditionally very, very special. A time of faith with a president who knows what that's all about. He's talked about it since the attempts on his life.
All right, so again, y'all know I'm very sensitive about the assassination attempts. That's terrible, and people do have revelations after that. And also, we have to be honest. Stop. Trump's not a man of faith. Stop with a time of faith with a president who knows what that's all about. Can we not? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't. It makes you seem so silly. He's a man of faith. I feel like you're being really insulting to people of faith. Like, that's what it looks like to be a man of faith. This is what it looks like to be. No, I told you not to put that up. Okay, that's bad. We shouldn't focus on people's looks. We should focus on the substance. I said that already. But he's not a man of faith, which is why he looks so uncomfortable in settings like this, where he's being prayed over and sung over. Oh, rich like me. 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 Oh, that's nice. It actually is pretty. That's what's a bummer. Is it's actually really pretty. I love this song. But now I'm found. But now I'm not blind anymore. Can we sing that again? Sing Amazing Grace. No, again, I'm saying it's pretty, but Trump doesn't know a word of that song. Let's just be honest. Can we be honest for a second, MAGA? You like him. I get it. And God works in mysterious ways, and apparently very mysteriously with this one. Okay? But can you admit he doesn't believe in God? He believes in God in the sense that he looks in the mirror and he sees God in himself. He believes in him. It does feel like you're not taking seriously what you're saying when you act like a guy who has his whole life has been about him, and he hasn't been spiritual, and he hasn't gone to church, and he hasn't treated people like he would be taught to, and he is, doing whatever with Stormy Daniels. Please, can we? I'm asking now. Can we not? It's so cringy when y'all act like you're going to teach your kids this is what it looks like to be a man of God. You're going to teach your kids that. All right. I guess that's your choice. But he did make a very bizarre remark here.
And, they work right out of the White House. They've never done that. That's never been done before. No other president allowed that. I think, they say separation. They say separation between church and state, they told me. I said, all right, let's forget about that for one time. We said, really, the separation? I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. But whether there's separation or not,
Amazing Grace. It's sort of like, the song's playing. How sweet the... Should we get rid of separation, church and state? Huh? Because y'all know me. It's a pray thing. Pray away, baby. Pray, pray, pray. That's what I say. That's what I say. I've always said that. Jane knows this. I'm serious. I actually think prayer, beautiful, and spirituality, and people's religious views, and exercise the heck out of those things. Yes. And tapping into your own spirituality through prayer, beautiful. But why does that always, for these particular right-wingers, have to connect with throwing out separation of church and state? Separation of church and state is so that we protect people's ability to pray the way that they like to, or to not, or to believe this religious view, or to not. But they can't get their head around that, so he's doing the little, not really dog whistle, bullhorn, but he's just saying, is separation of church and state good? Is that? I don't really know. Now, he's saying it within the context of maybe there were concerns about holding this event at the White House because of that principle, and he was saying, is that good for this setting? But let's be honest. We've heard, for example, Lauren Boebert saying separation of church and state junk isn't in the Constitution. And it's a part of a deeper ideological thing that he's referencing there, which again comes at the detriment of Christians everywhere, religious people everywhere. The very people fighting against this principle seem to misunderstand how much it's in their interest too. Do you know what I mean? I guess is what I'd ask them. He also said this.
That's a big achievement. One of the things that's very important will be saving Medicaid for Americans in need. We will not let the Democrats destroy it and all the waste, fraud, and abuse that they seem to love. And they will decimate Medicaid if they get...
Okay. So lately, just right before we went on, a comment popped up that I read that it was very sweet. And many of you have been taking note of, often because I'll say it and then saying really nice things to us about it, which is that we try, no matter what the subject matter is, to induce it with some fun energy and, humor here and there and laughter and joy, shockingly, to make it possible for you to both keep up with the stuff and not go completely insane. Said it so many times. But I think I also want to start saying moments where it becomes very, very difficult. This is one of them. What? Like, wait, he just gets to say anything now? Like, it's just, he gets to make up stuff. So, thank you for the nice comments about how the show's more fun lately. I don't feel very fun right now, to be honest with you. What does that mean? It's like whenever he was being criticized for being a threat to democracy, because he is, and he's proving that every single day in office, and then just started calling Kamala a threat to democracy just to kind of muddy the waters. He's doing it now. He said, one of the things that's very important, we will be saving Medicaid for Americans in need. We won't let the Democrats destroy it. Really? Which budget? Answer this. Which budget had the Medicaid cuts in it? Was it a Democratic budget or was it a Republican budget? A Republican budget. Now, that's still being decided. We'll see if it gets passed, which I've been saying this entire time. But he's just flipping the script completely disingenuously. All right, back to the fun. Here is him thinking that he's played a big part in 250 years of America.
Now they have me for another 4 years. We talk about that. And in the other 4 years, I sort of said, I got the Olympics to come in, and I got the World Cup to come in. And I said, the sad part is it's going to be in would be the third term. None of it came in during the, what would be the normal, the more normal way of doing it, like counting the proper votes, et cetera, and just going on. I wouldn't have been president. But now we end up with 4 years later, and we have the 250-year anniversary, and that will be June 12th, 250 years, and you have Flag Day, so there's something happening on Flag Day. It's my birthday. But so you have 250 years in this term. You have the Olympics in this term. We have the Olympics going to Los Angeles. And we have the World Cup. And I was very instrumental in all three of them. They said, would you do it? Because another...
I was very instrumental in all three of them. He says we have 250 years being marked in his term. You have the Olympics happening during his term. And you have the World Cup happening in his term. And he was very instrumental in all three of them. You were instrumental in the 200 years? What? Maybe you mean the preparations for the celebration that we're going to hold, but that's a really strange sentence, as is this one.
Nothing like it in the world. When you add up the importance, I take people into the Oval Office, and the biggest people,
so fat, so large. I said, how'd you get so fat?
Foreign leaders, princes, kings, queens, and presidents, and prime ministers, and a couple of dictators, I guess. They don't say that. They say, no, I'm a prime minister or I'm a president. And I say, no, you're a dictator, but that's okay.
All right. Good story. Then this.
Appropriate that here we are. So many things are happening, so many great things, and we won't let countries rip us off anymore. You know, a lot of people like to talk about tariffs. Well, tariffs is exactly what they were doing for us. You know, when you want to defend that, they're a beautiful thing for us if you can use them, if you can get away with using them. It's going to make us very rich. We'll be paying off debt. We'll be lowering your taxes very substantially because so much money will be taken in that we'll be able to lower your taxes even beyond the tax cut that you're going to be getting, hopefully, with the big, beautiful bill. And so it's one of those things which I think it's just a really amazing time. The spirit that we have in this country right now.
Of the spirit, consumer confidence at like not unprecedented, but at a historically low clip right now. Another thing I know I repeat a lot, I try not to be repetitive, but is the fact that sometimes repetition is necessary, right? So on that one, he's doing the thing again where it's because he repeats these lies so much. The tariffs are going to let us lower taxes.
Bullshit.
And I just, MAGA, what do you think, Trump is saying the tariffs are going to come down. So then we wouldn't have the revenue from them that are coming from U.S. companies, which are a more regressive tax than an income tax. So getting rid of the income tax or lowering income taxes and replacing it with tariff revenue that you're saying won't stay so high. So then it wouldn't replace it. And it's more regressive even if it did. Hey, Kamala Harris is back. She delivered a speech. Here's some of that.
So here's one of the other things I wanted to talk about tonight and to highlight. So look, some people are describing what's been happening in recent months as absolute chaos. And of course I understand why. And it's certainly true of those tariffs. Tariffs that, as I predicted, are clearly inviting a recession. But friends, please let us not be duped into thinking everything is chaos. I know it may feel that way, but understand what we are in fact witnessing is a high-velocity event where a vessel is being used for the swift implementation of an agenda that has been decades in the making. An agenda to slash public education. An agenda to shrink government and then privatize its services. All while giving tax breaks to the wealthiest among us. By the way, an agenda that is not lowering costs, not making life more affordable, and not what they promised.
Yeah. In other words, this plan exists within a context.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Right. And it's actually a really important point, which is that we didn't just fall out of a coconut. No, it's an important point that the plan here can seem, because it in some ways is really haphazard and so disjointed, like, oh, they're just a bunch of crazy, funky fools and they're just doing their funky fool things and silly them. But in reality, the referencing Project 2025, and it's not that book that is the important thing to reference. That's also important. But it's the ideological roots that all of these Trumpers in the White House and across the administration are implementing on behalf of, right? There has been this extremification and this radicalization of the Republican cohort taken over by MAGA, and then these deep ideas, or ideas that go really deep in their group, that then are now showing themselves to us. So those crazy cuts and the economic and foreign policy isolationism and the attacks on fundamental democratic principles, it didn't come out of nowhere, and it's not just coming from Trump. It comes from years and years of development of this strand of MAGA ideology and right-wing ideology, in some cases nationalist ideology. And that then is being fully manifested, allowed by and facilitated by Trump. So that's important, because then it helps us analyze it as a full picture and not just little specks as they come along. It's not just a bunch of mistakes and them stepping on rakes. That also is happening, okay? But it's also much deeper than that, and we have to see it as such, because I think it then contextualizes the danger of this ideology and why it needs to be opposed so aggressively. One other little update as we're getting through some of this miscellaneous stuff. Do you remember when J.D. Vance said this in the wake of the Signal Gate controversy?
And now the same American media that covered for the Biden administration after the untimely death and the unnecessary death of 13 brave Americans is really interested in forcing the President of the United States to fire someone because of a signal chat. That is not honest behavior from the American media. And if you think you're going to force the President of the United States to fire anybody, you've got another thing coming. President Trump has said it on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and I'm the Vice President saying it here on Friday. We are standing behind our entire national security team.
I am so sick and tired of the fake news media coming around and reporting on these stories. If you think, and I say this, and God is my witness, swear on my mother, that if you think that you're going to get Trump to fire anyone in his national security team, you have another thing mother flipping coming. We have breaking news out of ABC. Mike Waltz, the national security advisor, has been fired by Donald Trump. Kudos, JD. Oh, the grandstanding comes back to bite you. The Hill, though, reports on what we didn't know earlier in today's show, where Mike Waltz is going next. He indeed is being pushed out of the national security advisor position, which is more consequential than what he's now being put into. Trump taps Mike Waltz as UN ambassador, names Rubio as national security advisor. And so you might be thinking, where is Rubio going? He's staying apparently also as Secretary of State. Because with these critical positions, why fully staff the administration? What could possibly go wrong? At least I feel like this might make the group text a little more simple, and they might be at risk of adding random people a little less. Like, it might be less of a risk of that, because Marco can kind of have two contacts and they'll both be him. But it was really interesting. Tammy Bruce, the State Department spokeswoman, got told of this news. And this is a really funny clip. Right as Trump was truthing about it, Truth Socialing about it, and she gets really unnecessarily flustered as she tries to respond professionally to the news that her new boss is her boss still, but has a new job, and somebody else is getting a different job.
The president has just written on Truth Social that Mike Waltz is going to become the new U.S. ambassador to the United Nations.
Well, there
Therefore,
you
no
go.
longer the National Security Advisor.
Fabulous.
And in addition to that, he says that in the interim, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as National Security Advisor while continuing his strong leadership at the State Department. Do you know how long he's going to be serving in both roles?
It is clear that I just heard this from you. This is the magic.
No heads up that this was coming today?
I have some insights as to the potential of certain things that might happen. But when the president, and this of course is all presidential decisions, right? So I'm with the State Department. It is, as I think would be clear to all of you, you don't want to get ahead of your skis in drawing conclusions or speculating about what may occur. And you can have a general sense of what's possible, and then you see that manifest usually. But I think the one thing I've learned is that things don't happen until the president says they're going to happen. So the fact that is, which was obviously Truth Social. Yeah, so that is the miracle of modern technology and the social media. So that is an exciting moment here. I think that, as I know, Secretary Rubio.
What in God's name was that? Just say, you know what Trump does? You're telling me about this right now. I don't know. Why did she feel the need to do that weird paragraph? Mike Waltz is, Marco Rubio is taking over as the National Security Advisor, but he's staying Secretary of State. Okay, well, you're telling me this, it's become clear that me, Tammy Bruce, who is here as a spokeswoman, that I am being told by you, a reporter, this information as we speak. And are you saying this was post on Truth Social? Well, I mean, this is the magic of modern technology, is that things zip, zip, zip. You know, when I was a kid, you would have to crank up a phone or something, and you would have to, do this thing and then call, and it would go through a line. It would be physical. But now it beams over. They call it a beam, a Bluetooth. It Bluetooths over. What is the tooth and why is it blue? We don't know, but it beams over to someone else's phone, and they could have told, you could have gotten a text, and I wouldn't even know that you got the text because it went so fast. And that's the beauty of how things percolate here at the State Department. It's like, watch it. That was so unnecessary. It's fine. You're the spokeswoman. We don't believe you need to know every little detail. I guess what she felt insecure about was she didn't want to be seen as giving away that all these decisions are being made this quickly and without contemplation. Like, the reason the reporter went, you didn't have any heads up that this was going to happen, is because it is kind of weird that the National Security Advisor is leaving. Secretary of State's becoming the Secretary of State plus bonus National Security Advisor, and the National Security Advisor has become the UN ambassador, and that none of the other employees were preparing for that, have a transition in place. So I maybe that's why she was trying to do the whole weird word salad thing. But Tammy Bruce, I don't know about that. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. If you want to join us on the bonus show, we have even more fun sometimes. You can click the join button below.